Okay, so this we're gonna talk about the new champion Vatu in Paladin and what I think of him. Obviously, I can say that he is very different from the other champion, like example Octavia or uh, Vora. He he's a he's not really I think he's okay character. He have things that is a bit interesting, but it's not like that. Remember, what I say right now is my personal opinion for this new champion in Paladin, but it's I don't know. It's for me personally. I think the champion is more. They have something that makes it a bit different, but it's still not enough for me. If you compare it to, example, Octavia or Tiberius, in that sense that they're very very different from all of the other champions. Like lots of the things lots of abilities of Vatu is very similar to, for example, I don't forget his name, but the guy that can also teleport. That also is Skadrian. Uh, yeah, have very similarity. The guys can teleport. Anyways, that character. So there's already one character is that. So it's almost like you have Maeve and that character together, and then you have Vatu to turn to be a character. Um, and some, I think, no, I think it's almost like yeah, it's really hard for me to really say, but there's lots of things. It's almost like you feel like it's a step backward, then a step forward. If you compare it, and say again with Octavia, like Octavia's abilities were very unique. Her energy, shield, her jumping, all her different abilities that really makes it very different gameplay ways play with Octavia. But now when you play with Vatu, it's almost like you play like an old kind of hero comparable to a new hero in some way. In this way, if you understand what I mean, it's a really much more a like a, a ninja Maeve, like Koga. It's like Koga, but with Maeve's abilities and some new small new abilities to it. Then you have Vato, like a very much a character is. It's like it's Genji in Overwatch, but with more abilities than Genji in Overwatch. It's Genji that can teleport and flash step. It's like that character. It's like Genji with Paladin's abilities and input. And I think in that sense, obviously many people probably gonna like Vatu for this kind of thing because Vatu is much more like a classical hero, like much more like character. If they play Maeve or they play Koga, they're gonna probably much more enjoy to play Vatu in comparison to play Amani, Octavia, because Octavia is much more very more technology and very more different than Vatu. So Vatu is very different from that's more similar to the older characters. Uh, yeah, I for me this character feels a bit dry. It's a bit too dry for some sense. Like it's very like I don't know. It's like okay, if Vato was the first champion in Paladin that was like a ninja kind of a character, then I probably was okay. But because we already have Maeve, uh, Koga, it makes no sense really to have Vato in that sense of this his gameplay because we already have characters that is kind of him like Vato. Um, so it's it's a teleporting character that is like a ninja. We use ninja abilities. Um, really not so much more to say. Really, it's not really. It's like it's Genji with more abilities in Paltains. Is a person that can teleport and sidestep and use explosive and throw in kunines. Um, uh, it's like it's not it really like very it's a very different, really different from like Vora or Octavia. And more like Octavia and Jagura is very extremely different from their play style from and Tiberius for some their play style is comparable to Vatu. It's extremely different character, like really much like it's almost like you have this character like an Amani for example. You take all of these characters and you say this is a original Paladin characters, a Paladin that not have any inspiration from, like this is the 4 character, and then you have the character that's much more inspiration from Overwatch. Then you have Vatu and this kind of thing. Vatu is like very like you can see lots of similarity with Vatu and Genji, and this is what I mean is like why I don't really like so much really like this character is because it feel like you go back again to like to be like almost like not a copy, but too close to be too similar to be not be considered this kind of thing. Really consider if they really um, so I think they can do lots of different things. For example, with Vatu, that should make him much more interesting. Like for example, use shadow clones and like shadow abilities and all this kind of thing. And it's like much more interesting, much more colorful than like for example when they release sample Amani or Octavia, they really give them something that is unique. For example, Amani can transform to a dragon, and Octavia has lots of cool abilities that makes them very interesting. And I think in that sense, and then you have Yagura, and that character's ability is almost like where this is where I really mean with this is that you have so it's so different. They're so like different from all of the other champions. They give them much more colorfulness and more uniqueness in some sense. It's almost like Karn and Vatu is like the characters that is more like less colorful. That is much more like character that is more like older style of a character, play style of a character, not much as different, much more like a character that is like shoot, teleport, and so on. And this is a character I think it's very blank, it's very uncolorful, because of it's like Atlas is a very interesting character, but very much like Vatu and Karn is 2 characters I feel it was really like I think obviously I much prefer Vatu over Karn, but Karn was really like really boring character, extremely like a very classical game character, like teleport, have weapon, it's really boring. So it's like I don't know, it's like almost like a up and down. Like some new champions is extremely interesting because of their abilities, and other champions is extremely boring because this is too similar and they think and really I feel similar and they don't make any differences. Like and for me it's like really like Amani, Octavia, Tiberius, Atlas. What was the new champions that was very unique, very different from all of the others. You cannot find any similarities with all the others in Paladin. Special for this the character I have said. Then you have characters that is already exist, but they have put in some new abilities, like for example, again Vatu, and so on. Um, yeah, I don't I don't really know. For me, it's like very much like like you know when you get a character and you first see the new champion in a video. You have not tried the champion, so you maybe have to say I have to wait then play the champion so I can see for myself if the champion is good or not. Obviously, is when you play it, when you really get your hands on the champion, and then you really know, aha, okay, the champion was not so different from what I think when I see the champion for the first time. And that makes it like you get a bit disappointed because of this. It's almost like, yeah, because of this. Like you see something and okay, I have wait for to play it myself. Then I can say what I really think. But now when I have tried this champion, it's like what you see. It's not. Uh, I I Obviously all of this. What I mean is that is with the differences here. The big differences here is that you have a lot more thinking, I think, when they create Octavia. I think they got into the creator room and they say, okay, we need a cool new female character that is a military officer, like a heavy tank officer. We have to give this character some kind of cool technology ability, like energy field, floating, marksman rifle, like high technical weapons, and we have to make her very like not as like goofy or sexy. We have to make her cool and warlike warrior, really like high advanced warrior, like the top notch like warriors. And then they create Octavia, and then you get a very cool military older military woman that really is very cool height like weapons and so on. And I think that is the way where they go with Octavia. They're really focusing on her, like really try to the best they can do to give something bit unique from the other kind of fantasy or shooter games. They try to give her more like a combination with like a military Star Wars powerful and so on kind of a playstyle comparable, for example, to the other female character, for example Luna, for example. Like, I tried to give her a much military style and so on. And I think that was the same thing when they create Amani. They tried to give her something like for example, people that have watched Game of Thrones, but they want something that is inspiration probably from Game of Thrones, and they create Amani. That's a very cool female character that use fire and ice that can control dragons, use a dragon as her super move. And I think this was the end. Then you have obviously Yagura. Uh, was the same, like a really unique way to thinking when they make these characters, and same for Tiberius. They try to give something very like a bouncing chakram, like floating tiger that can use like a really cool war, like military tactics abilities, and so on. And I think that this way were really cool. And for me, like when you see this character, then you see later on this newest champion like Vatu, it's almost like you totally go back to a very 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 some kind of a bit boring character, a bit boring, and it's almost like you think like go right back to like a character that you have like a classical ninja with some kind of samurai look like a oni. And this character probably everybody gonna play because everybody in the video game can really like onis and samurais and ninjas, like Ninja Gaiden and all this kind of thing. And I think this is what I mean. It's like a character that's extremely popular because what they represent, not what they really in the gameplay wise, and so on. And yeah, and that is probably everything I really want to say about my take on the new champion and so on. Okay.